So likewise, there are multiple modes that you will find that you can run this particular appliance. So this Panorama appliance can have multiple modes of operation, right? So one of the mode is called as Panorama mode, another mode is called as management only mode, another one is called as logger mode, and another is called as legacy mode. So let's discuss about that. Okay, so I hope these particular points are clear. Okay, so let me write down some points on the top over here. Let me delete this particular diagram. I hope this diagram is understandable to all of you. Okay, so now we will discuss regarding the various operational modes that we can run this particular product. Let's talk about the model number that we normally have. Okay, that will be easy for me to explain you. So there are if you think about Panorama models, you can always Google that, go to the Palo Alto website and research with the latest model numbers. But as of now, as of today, you have 6 Panorama models that is available. Okay, 6 Panorama models that is available. So it can be deployed either as virtual appliance, sorry for that, virtual appliance. It can have the physical appliance, and physical appliance have the naming convention starts with M series. So you have got M600 series, M500 series appliance, you have M200 series appliance, and they are going to support PanOS 10.0, plus. That means anything which is 10.0 and above, right? So, and you have got M300, you have got M300, and you have got M700 chassis appliances that are supported in PanOS. So they support PanOS 10.2 and above. Okay, so you can actually deploy this particular appliance either in a standalone mode, or you can deploy this particular Panorama appliance in high availability cluster as well. All right, now when you think about this, that means, as I've told you in the previous concept, so you have got the distributed administrator in the first block. So you'll have distributed administrators, which will have multiple role-based access control policies probably, and then they will go ahead and manage the Panorama management servers. So we have these Panorama management appliances, or I normally say management servers. Either they could be standalone, or they could be in a HA pair, configuration. So you will have boxes which is, let us say, this appliances, let us say they are M series chassis, right? They could be M series chassis based hardware appliances, or we can have on, let us say, on ESXi servers, or on virtualized platforms on ESXi based host. I can run those particular Panorama appliance as a virtual machine, right, as a VM on those particular ESXi host. So once I have those particular Panorama servers made up, they're deployed. Now from there on, I can go ahead and onboard those multiple firewalls, right? So I can go ahead and onboard those individual firewalls. So this is my PA FW1, that's my PA FW2. So from here on, so I can either manage, or I can get the logs and reports from the firewall as well. So what all things I can do over here between this Palo Alto Panorama and the firewalls are the firewall management, log collection, generating reports, right, reports, software, or not or software and content updates. Okay, so those are the major areas that we normally will have the power for, right, management possibilities for. All right, so regarding the models, let's continue. So I hope you understand this particular architecture diagram. Okay, let me delete this. I hope it is clear. So yeah, regarding this particular models, so as I've told you, Panorama is available as one of the following virtual or physical appliances, each of which will support licenses for managing up to either 25 or 100 or 1000 firewalls. Additionally, you have got this product which is M600 and M700, which is chassis based hardware. They support licenses for managing up to 5000 firewalls. Okay, and similarly the resource Panorama virtual appliances can support licenses for managing up to 2500 firewalls. Okay, so basically your resourced, I can say resource VM, resourced virtual machine based Panorama can manage up to 2500 firewalls. Okay, so regarding Panorama virtual appliance, if you want to have some quick points, Panorama virtual appliance. So this model provides simple installation first of all, and it will facilitate server consolidation for sites that will need a virtual management appliance. So you can install Panorama on either Alibaba Cloud, or might be AWS or AWS Gov Cloud, Microsoft Azure. So a lot of places, right? AWS, Azure, or Alibaba, or might be Google Cloud platforms. Okay, you can use this in KVM platforms or Hyper-V environments, or might be Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, also called as OCI environments, or might be on VMware ESXi server, right? Or you can use something called as VMware vCloud Air as well. So this virtual appliance can, collect logs, collect the firewall logs locally at rates up to, can collect logs locally rate up to 20,000 logs per second, and it can manage dedicated log collectors as well for higher logging rates. Okay, so the virtual appliance can function either as a dedicated management server or a Panorama management server with log collection capabilities, or as a dedicated log collector. Okay, so the whole idea is, it can have multiple modes, right, that you can deploy it. So one of the mode is called as, so I can select that. You can deploy the virtual appliance in the following modes. So either you can deploy this as in Panorama mode. So basically in this mode, what will happen is the Panorama virtual appliance will support a local log collector. So it will support local log collector, and it will have a max capability of 1 to 12 virtual logging disks. Okay, and you can see deploy this Panorama virtual appliance with local log collectors documentations in Palo Alto websites. Now each of this logging disk that will have, each of this particular logging disk will have 2 TB of storage capacity, right, for a total maximum of 24 TB on a single virtual appliance and 48 TB on a HA pair. Okay, so only Panorama mode enables you to add multiple virtual logging disk without losing logs on the existing disk. Okay, so Panorama mode also provides the benefit of faster report generation, and in Panorama mode the virtual appliance does not support NFS storage, so it does not support NFS based storage. All right, so the whole idea is it can support a local log collector, and each logging disk will have a capacity of 2 TB of storage, or 24 TB overall as a single virtual appliance, or up to 48 TB once deployed in an HA pair. Okay, the next mode is called as legacy mode, although it is not used nowadays. So it is there. So either you can deploy this legacy mode either in ESXi environment or in vCloud Air or VMware. So only these two modes are supported, or these two platforms are supported. Okay, that means in this mode the Panorama virtual appliance will receive and store the firewall logs without using a local log collector. Okay, so that's the major piece. So I can say in this mode the Panorama virtual appliance receives and stores firewall logs without using a local log collector. That means by default the virtual appliance that runs in legacy mode has one disk partition for all data. So approximately you can say 11 GB of the partition is allocated to log storage. But if you need more local log storage, you can add one virtual disk of up to 8 TB or 8 terabytes on ESXi 5.5 or later version or on vCloud Air. Alright, so if you need more than 8 terabytes, you can mount the virtual appliance in legacy mode to an NFS data store, but only on the ESXi server, not in the vCloud Air. And this mode is only available if your Panorama virtual appliance is in legacy mode on upgrade to PanOS 10.0. On upgrade to PanOS 9.0 or later releases, the legacy mode is no longer available. That means it is available only beyond 10.0. Alright, so if you change your Panorama virtual appliance from legacy mode to one of the available mode, you will not be able to change back into the legacy mode. That's important point. Okay, so I must read that. So if you change your Panorama virtual appliance from legacy mode to one of the available modes, you will no longer be able to change back to legacy mode. Okay, so as a best practice, deploy the Panorama virtual appliance in Panorama mode to optimize your log storage and report generation. While supported, I know legacy mode is not recommended for production environments, but may still be used for lab or might be for demo environments. The next mode that we have is called as management only mode. Okay, so in this mode it is very commonly used. So in this mode, the Panorama virtual appliance is dedicated management appliance for your managed devices and dedicated log collectors. So I should write that the Panorama V appliance, okay, is a dedicated management appliance for your managed devices, and if you have any, dedicated log collectors. So additionally, an appropriately resourced Panorama virtual appliance can manage up to, as I told you earlier, up to 2,500 firewalls in this mode, provided it consumes the maximum resource and you apply the maximum resource to that, maximum hardware resources to that. And the Panorama virtual appliance has no log collection capabilities, so this is very important. The Panorama, or in this mode I should say, in this mode the appliance has no log collection capability. That means it will not be able to receive any logs and store any logs from the managed firewalls, but except for its configuration logs or its own system logs, and requires dedicated log collector to this store logs. So by default, it can store its own logs, that is the concept, but not collect logs from the other managed firewalls. And one more point is, by default, this virtual appliance that runs in the management only mode has only one disk partition for all data. So all the logs that is forwarded to Panorama virtual management in management only mode will be dropped. So therefore, to store the log data from your managed appliances, you must configure log forwarding in order to store the log data from your managed devices. Okay, so you must have log forwarding to a third-party log server, not to the Panorama appliance. Next mode is log collector mode. That means you can make the Panorama appliance just to be a log collector appliance, as the name says. So it will function as a dedicated log collector. That means this virtual, so the appliance will function as a dedicated log collector. So if multiple firewalls forward large volumes of the log data, so this Panorama virtual appliance in the log collector mode will provide increased scale and performance. And this mode, the appliance does not have a web interface, so always remember that. So no web interface for admin access is available. Okay, it has only a CLI. Okay, it has only CLI, so admin can access based on CLI. But however, you can manage the appliance using web interface of the Panorama management server, right? So this log collector mode appliance might be connected to another Panorama management server, and from that management server you can manage this log collector mode Panorama virtual appliance. So CLI access to your Panorama virtual appliance in log collector mode is necessary only for initial setup and debugging, but not for anything in future. All right, so likewise, this is all about the virtual appliance that you can run in the different modes. So you can have Panorama mode, legacy mode, management only mode, and log collector mode, as you can see. Now you can think about the M series appliances. That is a physical appliance. So the physical appliance that we have, either it is as I've told you, either M200 or M300, M500, M600, or M700. So those appliances are dedicated hardware appliances, and they are intended for large-scale deployments in environments with high logging rates, let us say over 10,000 logs per second, and for log retention requirements, these appliances are required. So these appliances enable high scaling of your log collection infrastructure. Okay, and all M series models can share the some attributes. So it can share attributes like RAID drives to store the firewall logs, and RAID 1 mirroring to protect against disk failures. So any M series models will support this feature. The hard drives are all SSD to store the logs that Panorama and the log collectors generate. So you have management port, you have got Ethernet 1 port, Ethernet 2 port, and Ethernet 3 interfaces that support 1 Gbps throughput. You can have redundant hot swappable power supplies, which is common to all those above appliances. I should say power supplies, which is common to all those above appliances, and all those appliances have got a common front to back airflow mechanism. Just to add more into it, is very important. So the M500, okay, the M500 and M600 appliances have the following additional attributes which makes them more suitable for your data centers. So they have Ethernet 4, and you can see Ethernet 4 and Ethernet 5 is only available, this two interface is only available with M500 and M600. So Ethernet 4 and 5 interfaces that support 10 Gbps throughput. Okay, and as we know, this M600 and 700 appliance in management only mode. So if they are in management only mode, they can manage up to 5,000 firewalls, right? So what are the different deployment options that we have? Deployment options for those M series product. So first is your panorama mode. So as I have discussed earlier, so if you deploy this M series appliances in panorama mode, so as we know, the appliance will function as a panorama management server to manage the firewalls and any other dedicated log collectors, and the appliance also supports a local log collector to aggregate the managed firewall logs, and the panorama mode is the default mode. Okay, so as I've told earlier, the nodes are always there in the top, you can see that. So I can have I've told that, right? So this is the default mode. Okay, so the whole idea is this is the default mode, and the appliance functions as a panorama management server to manage the firewalls and dedicated log collectors. Okay, and as I've told you, the appliance also support a local log collector to aggregate the firewall logs. Okay, supports local log collectors to aggregate the firewall logs as well. So next is your management only mode. So as I've told you earlier, so the panorama appliance will become a dedicated management appliance for your managed devices and dedicated other log collectors. This panorama appliance will have no log collection capabilities, as I've told you. So by default, the panorama appliance management only mode has only one disk partition for all the data. So logs that is forwarded to a panorama virtual appliance in a management only mode, they will be dropped. Okay, and the other mode that is supported is your log collector mode. Okay, log collector mode. So as I've told you earlier, the appliance functions as a dedicated log collector. So if multiple firewalls forward large volumes of log data, this M series appliances, which will be in the log collector mode, will provide increased scale and performance. And in this mode, the appliance does not have a web interface, as I've told you earlier. It has only a CLI based access. Okay, but however, you can manage the appliance using the web interface of other panorama management server to which it is connected with. All right,